All right, here we go. Finally coming at you with my review of episode 5.
Wowzer, 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 wow.
It is a long time coming. The holidays and my general lack of disinterest got in our way, so...
You suck! I said don't hit me, jerk!
Delayed you all for a good while, and this topic is probably hardly relevant anymore, but I do see people on my channel still asking me to finish this, so finish it I will.
Please! Please stop!
We're talking about double exposure.
My friend Safi is dead.
Chapter 5. This is my review, my thoughts, my everything, and per the usual, spoilers. If you haven't by now caught up with what's going on in Life is Strange, I suggest you do so before watching this video and make sure to come back and then check this out. But with no further ado, let's jump right into the meat and potatoes of this video. So if you remember coming out of chapter 4, we were on a pretty steady downhill slope.
Apparently
in
her
this
problem
game.
is worse than mine. So why even bother with me? I'm done anyway.
In my opinion, chapter 1 was kind of boring. Chapter 2 was getting good. Chapter 3 was getting good. Chapter 4 was not getting good. It was taking us back down into the dumps. And then chapter 5, let's just get right into it. Chapter 5 was the definition of the dumps. So we have Deck 9 over here trying to recreate the weird, crazy storm scene from the first game's episode 5, and let me tell you, they did a really bad job at it. So
now, Max, since you've captured our interest and clearly want to join the conversation, can you please stay still?
Surprise, surprise, I know, right? And again, Deck 9 is alarming in their lack of creativity here. This is a story-based game, and they cannot for the life of them come up with their own original story, or even their original concepts, or gameplay, or anything. This game, especially in episode 5, really struggled to stand out as much of anything. And so all of the story and plot lines that had been built up to this point was largely just thrown away. They're like, hey, we don't want to use that anymore. Who cares what's going on in our story? And then we get shoved into this crazy, weird storm world where they're trying to give us like some good feel-good moments, and they're like, hey, you're in the bathroom from Life is Strange 1, as if that holds like any significant relevance to this episode at all. It doesn't. And then we're going through this whole end of Life is Strange sequence, and it is just hot garbage. The last end of the game, like mini game that they have you doing, is this weird double exposure picture focus thing.
Smile, Lucas. Maybe double exposing the photo again? It worked with Moses.
Max, it's really you.
Where Safi has now left fragments of herself in other people's minds, and you have to take a picture of them and then line up the picture and then remove the Safi from the person through the picture. And I'm scratching my head like, what? What? I get what they're trying to do, maybe. I don't know that I even get what they're trying to do here. I think what they're trying to do here is play off of the title of the game, which is double exposure. I'm not familiar enough with photography to know what double exposure is or what the process of double exposure entails. Maybe that's what we were doing with the photos, and they're like, we're double exposing them. I don't know, but it didn't work. it was an incredibly boring last mission minigame. Like, this is the finale. This is when you test your gamer's might and you give them the same minigame like 3 times in a row, and it's not challenging, it's not intriguing, and it's not fun. And so I don't know whose bright idea that was, but it was hot garbage.
Look!
And I must say I was sorely disappointed in every aspect of that minigame. I could sit here probably and make an entire video about how atrociously awful that minigame was, but I'm not going to waste your time with that. But just take my word for it. It was not well prepared, it wasn't fun, and it was just dumb. And so after all that is said and done, you take the Safi fragments. By the way, like, Deck 9, I'm gonna give Don't Nod a little bit of shade here too, because they weren't really good at like defining one's powers in their games either. It was all kind of just like, hey, they've got this power that does this thing. We're not going to bother to explain why or how that works or anything. But Deck 9 like takes it to the next level with their lack of explanation. In fact, that like people's powers just straight up don't make sense. And so like Safi's power was originally perceived as shape-shifting. Then she was like, yeah, but I can just manipulate your mind to think that I'm somebody. I'm like, so does she have like mind control powers, and like she chooses to use them to allow her to shapeshift? Like, that's interesting, I guess. And then now she has like created a storm, and her mind powers is like ruining everybody else's minds. They're all going crazy. And then you got to take her mind fragments out of other people's minds with the double exposure photos. It was way too deep. I don't even think the writers knew what the heck they were talking about. They wrote themselves into a corner. They were writing around in circles. And then they were just like, that makes sense. If she's got powers, she can do that. And it's like, nah, that's not how that works. So that whole scene was just a steaming hot pile of garbage. And that whole scene was like 90% of this episode. Once you get out of the storm, you have like a final conflict, if you want to call it that.
Stay here. Keep your job, your life, whatever irresistible glory Caledon can offer you. But I have to know. When I come back, are you going to stay with me, Max? Are we in this together? Or is everything you said in the storm just words?
With Safi and like her mom, who's still lying on the floor after having been shot by Safi, and Safi's like, I'm almost a villain, but not quite a villain yet. And she's like, will you follow me? Will you stand by my side, Max? And you're like, yeah. Or you're like, nah. I don't know why anybody would be like, yeah, because like the game hasn't given me any reason to really want to side with her. They haven't really given me any reason to even care about her character. And so like, you want me to care about her character enough to do something that's possibly villainous? Like, no. So yeah. And then after that, you move into like a bar scene where all of the characters from this game is in the bar, and you're like, hey guys, yeah, I have powers, and so does Safi, and we're gonna band together, we're gonna be awesome. And then the game ends. And again, absolute garbage. I don't know who misunderstood the entire purpose of a story-based game, but like, your decisions are supposed to matter. The decisions I make throughout a game should impact the story. That's kind of the point of a story-driven game. If I were just, experiencing a linear story, I would, I don't know, read a book or something.
Safi's book was incendiary? How? What was it about?
And so it was really bizarre, not even bizarre, it was just lazy and lame, actually, that they would make this entire game and have it have little to no consequence of any of your decisions whatsoever. It had a linear ending, which, like, I cannot pound home how insulting that is to the fan base. A story-based game, a Life is Strange game with one ending. Like, can we wrap our heads around just how criminal that is? Like, ouch. Like, is this what? I can't even find words to properly explain how frustrated I am at the thought that they thought that this would pass as a Life is Strange game. Like, why? Do you not understand the fundamental concept of what makes a story-based game even? Like, going broader, like, okay, let's step away from the terms of Life is Strange and let's step into the terms of just general story-based games. Do you understand what that is? Do you know what it is you're making? Because so many things would point to no. You don't know what you're doing, you don't know what you're making, and you don't care. And what we got instead was a steaming hot pile of garbage that was very much so a money grab because of the outrageous price tags that they put on this game, and then they teased people with early access, and they're like, get yourself some early access here, and you can play the game early and not get spoiled, and all you gotta do is pay $120 or however much it was. It was stupid. Yeah, no, bad. Episode 5 did absolutely nothing to redeem itself. It cemented this game as a steaming hot pile of garbage. I really wish that there is more people out there who was willing to call a spade, and I'm gonna stand here and I'm gonna call the spade, and I'm gonna say, guys, this game was bad. I'm invisible. Like, it's okay to say that. Not every game can be good. And like, there's so many soft-hearted people out there that are just like, oh, well, they made a concerted effort to make a game that was a game, and this was a game, so therefore it's not bad, but it's not, it's disappointing. I'm like, nah, it's bad. Just call it bad. We don't need to use so many words. B-A-D. That's why it exists. And, yeah, that's what episode 5 did for me. It solidified this as a bad game. And the law of averages kind of support me in that. Like, in my opinion, I know a lot of people don't feel this way about episode 1, but in my opinion, episode 1 was kind of boring. So I'm going to say episode 1 was not a good episode because you shouldn't bore me right off the bat. Episode 2 was good. I enjoyed that. That was a solid episode in a Life is Strange game. Episode 3 was good. I enjoyed that. Another solid episode in a Life is Strange game. Episode 4, hot steaming pile of garbage. Episode 5, more garbage. Worse garbage than 4 even. And then, so by that count, I've got 3, let's see how I can do this in a way that makes sense. 3 bad episodes and 2 good episodes.
So, time to vote, folks. And then lunch.
These 3 bad episodes are going to gobble up and consume the bad ones, or however, I think I said that backwards, and make this whole thing null and void. So that has been my opinion on episode 4. There will be an overall review coming. Surprise, surprise, it's not going to be at all positive. So if you're someone like me who likes it when people are merciless and tell the truth about their thoughts about things,
You were just looking for a shortcut because you can't make friends on your own.
then
That's
come
not
on
true.
by, because that's
I have
exactly what I'm
great
going to do to
friends.
this game, and it'll be a joyous time. And then, so after the bar scene, I don't remember if this is like a proper post-credits scene or if it's just like the bar scene fades out and then we fade into a new scene. I don't remember the cinematic logistics behind it, but we get this scene of Diamond, who is mostly a throwaway, insignificant character in this game. And like, even if they tried to make her main, gosh, I really would not ever want to have to deal with her full time. She is sitting on the bench with a nosebleed, And then Sophie comes up and she's like, I've seen that nosebleed before. You got powers and I got powers and we gonna go do stuff. And then so that's where we end off with this bonkers, weird, like Marvel-esque storyline where now Caledon University, for whatever reason, is like harboring all these people with superpowers. And it's just like, no, this is not what I want. And I think the fans as well are pretty well in agreement that that was not at all what they wanted out of this franchise. And so I would be thankful of all the mad anger and pitchforks that have been flung at this game, because I tend to agree with them when I say that it's not at all good. They completely misunderstood what the fans wanted. They did not read the room. They failed to make a compelling game. Their twist ending was hot garbage. And then the game ends and they're like, Max will be back. And I'm just like, and then someone also asked, because Life is Strange True Colors didn't really have great endings either. It was like 2 endings, but like one of them was like actually fleshed out and they told you exactly what was going to happen. And then the other one was like, who knows what happens? You do stuff. And one of the people called them out on that. And we were like, are we going to get like better endings in this next game? And he was like, and then he like they're like, well, we don't want to spoil what's going to happen at the end of the game.
So last game, it was kind of a binary ending. I was wondering if we're going to have more than 2 endings in this one.
No, there's only one ending, and you idiots are going to buy it, and we're going to make money, and it's going to be fine. And I don't think enough people bought it to make money, and it wasn't fine. If you've kept up with this community at all, you know that it was not fine. But at any rate, per the usual, I write books and create my own animation on YouTube as well as rating all these story-based games that I take way too seriously. So if you want to support the channel, if you want to see what I'm talking about when I talk about story concepts, pick up one of my books, tell me what you think, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for stopping by.